So let me ask you a question. Did Iran really just shut down one of the most critical shipping lanes on the entire planet? Just last week, headlines were flying around suggesting a massive global crisis was unfolding in the Strait of Hormuz. But what if the story we were all told wasn't the real story at all?
You probably saw the headlines. They were all over the place, screaming closure in the Strait of Hormuz. And yeah, panic spread. And it spread fast. I mean, when you even hint at closing a choke point this vital for global oil and trade, the world listens. And the markets, well, they definitely react. And that right there is the big question, isn't it? Were those reports even accurate? Or were we all just watching a masterclass in propaganda, something designed to create the illusion of a crisis? Let's break it down and see what was actually going on.
Okay, so here's how it all started. On February 17th, Iranian state media came out with this really bold announcement. They said the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that's the IRGC, had closed off parts of the strait. And of course, some international news outlets just picked up that claim and ran with it, a lot of times without really digging in to verify it themselves. Now, this is where the story gets really interesting. The claim was super dramatic. The strait is closed. But the reality on the ground, it was, pretty simple. Ships just kept moving. So what was actually happening out there on the water? Well, if you look at the shipping traffic data, it tells a totally different story. The southern channel, the one for ships heading out, was operating completely normally. The northern channel, for ships coming in, okay, it did see less traffic, but not because of some military blockade. It was because ship captains heard the news and decided, you know what, I'm going to hang back and wait for this to blow over. It was their choice, a voluntary delay to avoid risk, not some military action. And while all this was happening, what did the official groups who monitor this stuff say? We're talking about the UK's Maritime Trade Operations and US Central Command. Their reports both said, well, nothing. No incidents, no hostile actions, no closure. As far as they were concerned, it was just another Tuesday. But CENTCOM didn't just stay quiet. They did something else. They posted these images of fighter jets taking off from a nearby aircraft carrier. It was this really deliberate but non-verbal message, a subtle way of reminding everyone what the consequences of a real blockade would look like. So if it wasn't a real closure, what was it then? Well, it turns out this whole thing fits into a pretty familiar pattern. This wasn't some random one-off event. No, it was a play straight out of a well-worn playbook. Just think about the recent history here. A few weeks before this, the IRGC announces this huge live-fire drill, only to cancel it after the U.S. issued some warnings. Before that, a U.S. destroyer actually had to step in to stop the IRGC from grabbing a tanker. And then you get the February 17th closure. It's a whole lot of threat, but with no real follow-through. A pretty clear pattern starts to emerge, right? You can pretty much distill this whole strategy down into a simple 3-step playbook. Step 1, exaggerate a threat or what you're capable of doing. Step 2, use old or sometimes completely unrelated footage to try and prove it. And then step 3, just rely on social media and friendly outlets to blast the message out there and make it seem way bigger and more urgent than it actually is. And this right here gets to the absolute core of the issue. The real conflict here isn't happening on the water with speedboats and warships. The real battlefield is all about information and perception. It's a game to control what the world believes is happening. So why does perception matter so much? Look at this. The Strait of Hormuz is the choke point for a fifth, 20% of the entire world's seaborne oil. It's so incredibly strategic. The thing is, you don't have to actually close it to cause total chaos. You just have to make people think you can. And that is the ultimate goal here. The mere rumor of a closure can make oil prices spike and give you incredible political leverage in any international talks. The IRGC gets this. They can achieve some pretty big strategic goals without ever having to fire a single shot or risk a direct fight with the military. And there's actually a name for this whole strategy. It's called information warfare. It's all about using and managing information and, perception to get a strategic edge over your opponent. This whole incident is a textbook example. Okay, so why does any of this matter to you, beyond all the high-level geopolitics? Because this story, believe it or not, holds a really powerful lesson for how we all consume information in our daily lives, every single day. I mean, This whole thing is a perfect case study in just how fast a piece of misinformation can travel. It starts with a single, state-controlled source, then it gets picked up, amplified, and all of a sudden it's being treated as fact by global news outlets. And just like that, a completely false narrative is created.
So what can we do about it? Well, here's a simple little toolkit for you. First, always be a little skeptical of those sensational headlines, especially if they're coming from state-controlled media. Second, look for independent verification. And when you can, check what the official sources are saying. But maybe most important of all, always ask yourself who benefits from this story. Understanding the motive is just key.
And this all leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. Is this crying wolf strategy actually working for the IRGC in the long run, or does every exaggerated claim that gets debunked just chip away at their credibility, making their real threats less believable down the road? It's a really delicate balance. Ultimately, this whole episode really just brings home a powerful truth. In a place as critical as the Strait of Hormuz, perception can often be way more powerful than reality. And that's something to remember the next time you see one of those dramatic headlines. Stay informed and stay critical.